Today I'm going to show you how Granny Clara taught me how to make chicken and dumplings. First thing we're going to do is cook our chicken. Mine in the sink in hot water. I just use chicken breast because I don't like dark chicken, but she always put dark meat in hers, so that made it taste better. I'm going to cover these are chicken tenders. I'm going to cover them with water, put them on the stove and boil them until they are cooked, and then I will take them out and like shred them, tear them apart to little pieces because I don't like big chunks of chicken in my dumplings. When the chicken is boiling, I'm going to start adding the ingredients. This was what I wrote down from what she taught me. I have some flour, salt, pepper, baking soda, which I'm going to use baking powder. I think it's the same. 1 egg. And you would mix the yellow food coloring in with the egg before you added it to the mix if you want it. I'm not going to add food coloring because I don't have a desire for mine to be yellow. And chicken broth. So I'll show you how all that goes in. I have the directions kind of written on the back here. Probably just so I could understand, but I'll show you step by step as we go. So I'm going to get out some flour and I'll show you how much I use. This is about how much I'm going to go with. That's probably about 4 scoops of this cup, kind of 3/4 of the way full. And I'm going to sprinkle this onto my little mat that I've got here. This is where I'm going to roll out the dumplings. And I have my rolling pin, pizza cutter, and a spatula so I can scoop them into the pan when they're ready. So let's get started. Here's what our instructions say here, the directions. Mix flour, salt, baking soda, pepper, and 1 egg. And then the yellow food coloring if you want it. Stir in chicken broth until it feels like pizza dough. So instead of water, you're going to put chicken broth in your dough mixture. And then what's left out of the chicken broth is going to go into the water that we're keeping when the chicken is finished. So I'm going to add, there's no set amount of this. It's kind of trial and error. So I'm just going to put some salt in here. And I'm going to add some pepper. And I'm going to take this spoon and I'm going to take a little bit baking powder and I'm going to sprinkle that in there just a little bit more. So about like a spoonful. And I'm going to mix that around. And then I'm going to go get my egg. Okay. So I'm going to take the chicken out of here and set it into a bowl and put it to the side because it has cooked up enough. We're going to take it out and let it cool so that we can like shred it and make it little pieces. Now just turn the water on medium. Actually, I may just turn it down just a little bit more because kind of between medium and low because we don't really need it to do anything just yet. Just stay warm. All right, so I've got my egg. I'm gonna crack 1 egg and put it inside the flour mixture with the salt, pepper, and baking soda. And now I have opened my chicken broth and I'm going to pour, I shook it up real good. I'm going to pour some of this in and start mixing till we can get it to look kind of like a pizza dough texture. Now, when Granny was teaching us how to do this, we had to get our hands in there, mix with our hands, and if you want to do that, that's fine. But I feel like I can do it just as well with a spoon or something. I kind of make enough dough to have about 2 times of rolling out. Like, I'll roll this section on the mat over there, and then I'll roll this section out and slice them, and that'll be the dumplings that goes in. So I'm not making a huge, it'll fill this kettle, but I'm not making it like for a whole army. So I'm going to pour what's left into this mixture. And now we want that to come to a boil. That was 32 ounces of chicken broth. So we're going to let this come to a boil before we add any of the dough in there. Might need to add a little bit more water. I think I will add about a cup of water into that. Okay, so I added 2, just those solo cups of water into this, which made the pan about halfway full. Let me show you. All right, so we've got it about halfway full, and you see it's got little pieces of the chicken from where it was cooking in here and boiling and stuff. That's okay. That's gonna make it taste good. So leave all that in there. I even salted that chicken, like salted the water as the chicken was cooking. So there's a little salt already in there. So we're gonna turn that up on higher, like almost high, until we get some boiling. And then we don't want it to boil over. We just want to keep a steady boil. All right. So we use this, cut the squares. We're going to scoop this up, put it over. So as you do that, and the flour that goes in is going to make it thicker. Just keep adding them in. And like I said, if the flour that's going in, that's good. You want that in there as it falls off your spatula, because that's going to thicken up your juices, making it more creamy. We're just going to keep doing that. When it starts to boil up too high, just turn it down. You want to always stir this pot over here, because your dumplings will stick and they will scorch and burn, and you don't want that. So it's kind of like you got to keep 2 things going at once. This is where if you have somebody who wants to be a helper in the kitchen, let them stir or scoop, whichever. Let one do one and one do the other. Stir. Here's the second little batch of dough that I'm going to mix. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of extra flour down to cover it over. Keep your flour handy by you, so while you're making it, you can grab it if you need it. And we're going to kind of knead it together, fold it over, mash it down. Put a little bit of flour on top of it, keep it from being sticky. Okay. Okay, now, we're on your rolling pin, and you're going to start rolling it flat. Kind of pressing down on this as you're rolling. You gotta mash down on it and roll it. That's what's going to flatten it. Some muscle in it. You got to use your muscles to flatten it. The rolling pin won't. By itself won't do it flat enough. It's stuck. A little dough stuck on there, so we're just going to rub some flour on it. Okay, once we've got this flat, take our pizza cutter, make squares, back and forth. Now, spatula, scoop it in and stir. And I'll show you what we got when we're finished. Easy cleanup. Throw this away. I found the flour that got everywhere on the counter because I'm messy. So I have my heat on, my heat on medium right now, and I'm just stirring, just to make sure it's all, like I said, nothing you don't want it to stick and burn. So I'm just stirring right now. Here's what our dumplings are looking like right now, and just going to keep stirring those. Make sure that it doesn't stick. We're going to let them cook for a little bit while we shred up our chicken. Then we're going to add our chicken back to this. I've put the heat down on low, and we want it to like kind of simmer together for a little bit. Yummy. So I'm just going to take my fork, mainly my hands, and I'm just going to start picking the chicken apart. Probably won't even need the fork. Whatever you prefer. And I just start picking it into small pieces, and we can just put it over into this mixture. And I want to do that for all the chicken, and I'll show you the finished product. So here we have the finished product of chicken and dumplings, like Granny Clara taught me to make them with my little twist. Of course, you know, you make things the way you like them, you make it to your taste and what you want. But this is what it looks like when it's all finished.